And before we get to our episode today, just a quick thank you to all of our patrons and our producers. If you would like to join our Patreon or our producer community and help support the work done here on Esoteric Atlanta, there is a link down in the description box below. This channel is solely crowd-funded through our amazing patrons and our producers and our sponsors. So you guys mean the world to us.
Laura Knight's Cassiopaean experiments, often associated with the Cassiopeia material, involves the exploration of consciousness, spirituality, and the nature of reality. Through various methodologies, including channeling and psychic experiments, Knight and her collaborators sought to communicate with higher intelligences, particularly a group of entities referred to as the Cassiopaeans. The primary aim was to gain insight into the metaphysical questions, the nature of existence, and human development. The experiments included multi-session discussions that covered topics like multidimensional realities, free will, and the influence of higher dimensional beings on humanity. Knight recorded these sessions, which often contained profound philosophical and esoteric insights, and these records became part of a larger body of work that aimed to explore consciousness beyond conventional scientific understanding. The overall tone of the experiments reflect a blend of skepticism and deep inquiry into the nature of consciousness and our place in the universe. Laura Knight began her communication with the Cassiopaeans in 1994. She is still in communication with the Cassiopaeans to this day. If you would like a better understanding of the Cassiopaeans and their impact on humanity, I would highly suggest checking out the Wave series by Laura Knight, the Cassiopaean Forum, which a link will be provided in the description box below, or purchasing the book that I personally am reading from that contains all of the transcripts and conversations between Laura and the Cassiopaeans. The Cassiopaeans base the soul's evolution and consciousness on the spiritual template known as the Law of One. The Law of One is also known as the raw material. It is a series of philosophical texts that emerged from a series of channeling sessions conducted by Carla Rucker, Don Elkins, and Jim McCarthy in the early 1980s. The sessions involved channeling a consciousness known as Ra, who claimed to be a collective of extraterrestrial beings from the sixth density. The key concepts in the Law of One are unity and oneness. The central tenet of the Law of One is that all beings are fundamentally interconnected and are expressions of the same universal consciousness. The phrase, "we are all one," encapsulates this idea, emphasizing that unity is the essence of existence. It also covers the densities of existence. The material describes the cosmos as composed of multiple densities or levels of existence. Each density represents a stage of spiritual evolution, with humans currently experiencing a third density, which is characterized by lessons in love, understanding, and most importantly, making choices. We also seek to understand in the Law of One soul evolution. According to Ra, souls undergo a process of evolution through these densities, learning and growing through various incarnations. The choice between these paths influences one's spiritual evolution and the experiences one encounters in life. There's also discussions of the role of free will. Free will is considered sacred, and individuals are encouraged to explore and make choices regarding their spiritual development without interference from higher beings. If you would like more information on the Law of One, please make sure to check out the material for yourself. A link to all resources will be posted down in the description box below. But for now, let's get on with the show.
Are you guys ready to get back into the Cassiopaeans? I know I am. These are so fun to read. And of course, welcome back to Esoteric Atlanta. Of course, my name is Bryce. It's been a while since we've checked to see some of the old readings of the Cassiopaeans. But before we get into that, I just want to remind you guys something that's kind of heavy on my heart is when we look at conspiratorial stuff with the Cassiopaeans, I just want everyone to understand that conspiratorial stuff is not ascension. It's not spiritual awareness. Right? These are two different things. Now, sometimes the conspiratorial stuff can trigger spiritual awareness, but understanding stories does not necessarily mean that you're going to ascend. I want to be very, very clear with that because I know sometimes I think even Laura herself is a little bit dense when it comes to that. And if you guys don't know, my partner has opened up his own YouTube channel. And if you guys hear weird noises, that's my dog. He has opened up his own YouTube channel just recently called The Confused Wanderer. He's got some yoga stuff, but he's also creating a whole playlist just basically around the law of one. So if you need like a Cliff Notes version on the law of one, he's done a first density and a second density quick videos before he can get into third density. And the third density stuff is going to be really, really juicy. And of course, with third density, we're going to have to get into the Cassiopaeans and some drama around the Cassiopaeans and all that kind of stuff. So I really, if you like this stuff, please make sure you subscribe to him. It'll be down in the description box below. The Confused Wanderer, that's a title that comes from the Law of One. And so with that being said, you guys, just remember, as always, that the story is not the spiritual journey. The spiritual journey happens within. If we want to move forward in our society collectively as a consciousness, then we all really just need to work on ourselves. You know, bad guys are going to bad guy. The Illuma Shmati is going to Illuma Shmati. Us knowing about it doesn't necessarily change the predicament of third density because that's what we're in. We're in third density. And third density is always polarized because the whole point of third density is choice. So the choices that you make, I always laugh and say, you know, the bad guys of this world, the Illuma Shmati, they know exactly what's going on, just like a lot of truthers do. What's the difference? What's the difference? Just knowing things doesn't mean that you're going to ascend or go positive. It really doesn't even matter. What matters is your own self-work, your own consent, your own sovereignty, taking accountability for your own self instead of blaming other people. All right, so just wanted to make that very clear. This is all supposed to be fun for us to look through because it's interesting, but I just want to make sure everybody knows, you know, that this is not the path to spiritual awakening. All right. So with that being said, I have been very curious myself about people like the Rosicrucians. And so I went to the search bar on the Cassiopaean forum, which I'll put it down below, and I typed in Rosicrucians. And so I found a reading from the 21st of December, 1996. So as we do here in this channel, how old were you on the 21st of December, 1996? I was 13 years old, about to turn 14. So it was a long time ago. It was a long time ago. So here we go. Without further ado, the people we have available are Frank, Laura, Alice, and VG. So Laura says, hello. Answer, hello. Who do we have with us tonight? Fenoria? Gotta love their names, right? And where are you from? Cassiopaea. Laura, the first question on my mind before we get to any other questions is, who is giving information to Sheldon Niddle about the photon belt and the mass landings that are supposed to take place on the 31st of December and the 1st of January? I'm laughing because that obviously didn't happen. And I will say too, you know, I'm not sure if Laura's married to Ark at this point. Ark is a scientist. Sometimes they get a little too science-y, in my opinion. Todd's going to go more into that on his channel. And you do see the Cassiopaeans getting a little annoyed because you have to remember that science in third density is not the same as science in fourth density or fifth density or sixth density. It's completely different. Time isn't the same. And so sometimes some of the scientific stuff they talk about really doesn't matter because it's only happening here. You know, for example, Laura oftentimes asks a lot about time, and trying to explain time outside of third density is like trying to explain an iPhone to an ant. Right? We're not going to understand it. In third density, we have a veil. We're the only density that has a veil. And so therefore, we work in Prakriti. Prakriti is nature, anything that has a birth, a life, and a death, a beginning, a middle, and end. So we see time in a way that's necessary for third density, in a way that's necessary for us to process the whole point of third density, which is making choices, experiencing friction from the opposing forces. Opposing forces cause that friction. That friction is what sparks light. So for us to try to even understand what's going on outside of third is really a moot point, because that's not, we're here right now. We're here in the here now. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of laugh about that, because sometimes it gets a little too sciencey where I'm like, does this really matter? So again, they asked the first question on my mind before we get into any of these others. Question is, who is giving information to Sheldon Niddle about the photon belt and the mass landings that are supposed to take place on the 31st of December and the 1st of January? Sheldon Niddle. I say this all the time. That's my feeling with a lot of channelings. Most people who have channelings, especially on the YouTube, it's their imagination. It's their imagination. But nonetheless, I did go to look up Sheldon Niddle because, again, for me, I was a kid at this time. And I got the Ground Crew Project. Of course, this is Wikipedia. Sometimes Wikipedia is, but for just a brief overview of who this guy is, I thought this will suffice. So the Ground Crew Project is a UFO religion based in the United States. It was founded in the 1980s by Sheldon Niddle, moved operations online in 1996, and later split into Ground Crew and the Planetary Activation Organization. It has been described as an optimistic UFO religious group who believes the Earth is on a verge of the cosmic transformation. According to adherents, such transformation was expected to happen as Earth passed through the high energy properties of a photon belt in the 1990s. Members say the religion's aim is to prepare humanity for a large-scale first contact between Earth and the Galactic Federation, claimed to be extraterrestrial organization, which will help in supposed transformation. Members of the group are being prepared to play key roles as intermediaries between the claimed extraterrestrials and the population of the Earth. Even after failed prediction, the group believes contact will happen as soon as possible, and they must assess in raising mankind beforehand. That's all. Anytime people talk about the Galactic Federation, that's negative, you guys. That's all negative. And having certain elite people that are going to be like the translators, that is also service to self. Be very careful. Be very careful, my friends. Discernment, discernment, discern. Be open-minded. Listen to people, but also have discernment. That's why the law of one is so important. Any type of belief system that says somebody is more important than somebody else, or believes in like a galactic federation that's managing our own free will here on Earth, or anybody who tells you that this Earth's a planet prison, it's not. There's no such thing as a planet prison with God. We're here because our soul chose to be here, to go through these obstacles, because that's how the soul refines itself. Again, that friction is how you refine yourself. As my teacher in India used to say, how is gold cleaned? It's cleaned by boiling it, getting it hot and boiling it so you can wipe away the impurities. That's what Earth is. That's what third density is supposed to be hard. There's supposed to be friction. That's how we refine ourselves. Our soul chose to be here, and then we go through a veil so that we have that added struggle. It's like, like when competitive swimmers, they'll put what's called a drag suit on. It's a bathing suit that they like cut up so it catches water. And it's almost like a weighted vest they're wearing. That drag suit is making the swimmer stronger so that when they take the drag suit off, they can go really fast in the water. Being on Earth, having that veil is like having that drag suit on. This is intentionally picked by our souls for third density. That's why third density is the shortest density. All right, so be very careful with that, you guys. Like, we're programmed on this planet to like look for a leader. A leader is very different than like a teacher. Okay, they're different things. Teachers are giving you information so that you can make decisions for yourself. A teacher's job is to eventually not be needed. A leader's job is to always be needed, and that's going negative. So just be very, very careful with that, okay? All right. It's just coming out of his own head. He is not seeing any beings or channeling anything. Okay, close enough. A lot of people. Yeah, a lot of people, it's their imagination. It's that grandiose ego. I want to be special. I want to be important. Listen, we're all special and we're all not special at the same time. We're all equally here. Equally here dealing with our crap, right? Like all these people who sit on these channels are like, I'm a star seed. We're all star seeds. All of us. Be very careful with that stuff, you guys. Okay, Laura, I would like to ask about this fellow Jim in a somewhat indirect way. This is a person who corresponds with Ark, all right, that's her husband, on a variety of subjects and claims to have inside connections to deep government ops. This last question that he was asked was, reading it, do you know any possible relation between deep space travel and DNA structures, or between crop circle coding and CNA coding? Have you ever been told or shown something about DNA, like relation between time, rate, and structure of our genes? And here is what Jim replied. Yes, I have been warned not to discuss this matter where it is open to unknown ears. Could you comment on that? Answer. The best thing for ARC to do is to request closed correspondence. Does this guy have some knowledge about DNA or crop circles? Answer, discover. Laura, okay, mother, ask her question. A, which I think is Alice. I don't know if that's Laura's actual mother, or, sometimes they'll be like, okay, mama, I don't know. I don't know. So Alice says, there are a lot of things that I want to know, and some I'm sure are important, but I don't know the sequence of what I want to follow. Ask away. Alice asks, so many things that have happened to me that I'm wondering if something happened to my brain in this life or another that would explain my thinking. Answer, more specific, please. Alice asks, did anything happen in another life that has caused me problems in this life? Answer, the answer is yes, as with all others. Laura asks, what happened to cause these mental problems? Not mental, emotional. Ding, ding, ding. So like I was saying in the beginning, this is where a lot of people hit their head against a wall. And I can't say too much on it. There's a project that Todd and I have been working on. And I can't say too much about it right now. That project, when we're ready, will be put on his channel, The Confused Wanderer, link below. But basically, the project we're working on really confirms a lot of what I've been saying, what a lot of people who have studied Eastern philosophy have been saying, especially here in the Western world. Again, there's this really big confusion. People are so confused between their ego and their soul, or their ego and their consciousness. Your brain, your thoughts, this thing in your head is an organ, okay? The mental thoughts of your brain is an organ for this life. Just like you have a heart for this life, you have lungs for this life, you have hands, feet, hair, eyes, a digestive system, right? These organs are specifically for the body that you are in now. They don't travel with you to the next life. Your blood type is different each life. Your race is different each life. So emotional baggage or karma, so that's what that is. The Western world does not understand karma. We think we do, but we don't. Karma is cause and effect. Karma is your lessons, the lessons that you are here to learn. That's what karma is. Karma is not bad. Karma is actually neutral. We put the label on it as bad or good, right? We all have karma. That's the propensity of third density. So karma can be just as simple as, I drink lots of water, so therefore I have to pee a lot. That's karma. Another karma is I'm hydrated, right? So we carry emotional energy or karma from past lives. Now, I don't like when they go into past lives. I see this a lot in the yoga world too. I feel like past life work becomes a little bit of a distraction and a disassociation. We've all had past lives, but there's a reason why we have a veil. There's a reason why. Okay, so what we are working with spiritually is not the story. Like, they're going to get into the story. It's not what triggered the emotion. Okay? Think about it this way. I could have my purse stolen and you could have your purse stolen. You and I might react completely different to the same action. What's important isn't the action. What's important is the reaction, the way it imprints on us. And then we are responsible for dealing with that imprintment. That has nothing to do with what actually happened, Okay, so this is why I am very hesitant about past life work. I think what tends to happen through my professional experience, and for those who are new to this channel, this is what I do offline. I am the only female in the state of Georgia who is authorized by KPJAY in India to teach a very traditional form of yoga. With that comes very intense philosophy. And so that's what I've been doing for 19 years. So this is up my alley of what I've been trained in. And I see a lot of problems with what we're going to talk about next. Now, if you can learn things about your past life and not be emotionally attached to the story, then fine. But most people can't do that, right? So what happens is when we carry karma over from a past life, like it's not a mental, it's emotional, it's karma. The point is to deal with it in this life. If we keep ignoring this life, we're going to build up more karma to take to the next life. And some people I find in my profession get so obsessed with past lives, it's like they're disassociating from this life. Like, what are you trying to escape from this life? You're here now. Like the biggest, if I could sum up spirituality in one sentence, be here now. Not there then, but here now. Okay? So, if you have any questions about that, let me know down in the comment section below. So what causes these mental problems? Not mental, emotional. And I say that this is a problem that I find that Laura has, because I don't think Laura understands the difference between Prakriti and Purusha, which is a Sanskrit name from nature and soul. Laura talks a lot about her bloodline. A lot about her bloodline. And I have a pretty cool bloodline too. However, it doesn't really matter. What matters is, what do I do with the life that I'm in now? My soul picked this bloodline, this body, this life for a reason, for me to work on my karma, for me to refine my soul. It doesn't really matter who my parents are or who my grandparents are. It's cool, like I'm proud of my ancestors, but I'm also able to understand that it's about me. Like, it's all about us. No one's responsible for our greatness or our struggle but us. And so I think Laura gets a little bit confused between the ego and the soul. I think sometimes when the C's tell her to go research, I think she confuses that with like academics. When academics, it's EDO, so like gnosis is inner knowing, EDO is outer knowing, and academics is EDO. EDO don't want. Beta, as they say in Karnataka, beta, don't want. It means nothing. All EDO is supposed to do is to give you tools to survive in this world, to read, to feed yourself, and to make a living, and to, in a spiritual sense, to ignite, to strike that match for you to want to go into the gnosis. And I don't think Laura has gnosis. And you guys know I've said this many times. I have a lot of problems with Laura. I think Laura misses the mark a lot. And I'm just going to be straight up with you guys. I don't think she's a nice person. That's part of the reason why I've never joined the forum. I don't think she's kind. I think she's nasty just to be nasty. In my opinion, she's slightly abusive to people in the forum. So I don't have time for that. But that's where I see, and I'm grateful for her for putting these transcripts up at the same time, because two things can be true, right? But I think she's very confused about gnosis and EDO. She values EDO over gnosis. And I don't think she really understands the difference between Prakriti and Purusha. All right, so let's go back here, because I know I went off on a tangent there. So let's go back. Okay, Mother asked her question. Alice, there are a lot of things I want to know, and some I'm sure are important, but I don't know the sequence that I want to follow. Ask away. So many things have happened to me that I'm wondering if something happened to my brain in this life or another that would explain my thinking. More specific, please. Alice, did anything happen in another life that has caused me problems in this life? The answer is yes, as with all others. Laura, what happened to cause these mental problems? Not mental, emotional. Laura, can you tell us a little bit about it? Answer, unaliving of a twin in the last lifetime, farming accident in the 1880s. How did this twin unalive? Fell off the ox-driven combine, driven by father was, don't know if I can say that word on YouTube. Were they male or female twins? Male. And what were their names? Lucas and Lawrence. Lucas was the one that unalived. Where was mother as Lawrence at this time? In the house? And what kind of emotion has carried over into this lifetime? Her longing is insatiable as she is always looking for love due to her loss. How old was Lucas when this happened? 8 years old. How many years after this accident did Lawrence live? 22 years. Have any of the persons of that lifetime returned to interact with her in this life? No, not even the twin. Correct. Emotions are not mental. There is a difference. Yes, there's a difference. So this is why it's super important to actually study spirituality, not to study conspiracies, study spirituality. Everything happens inside of you, right? It all happens inside of you, not outside of you. What's happening outside of you is going to happen regardless. But it's you who make the choices. It's you who are responsible for your own soul's development. Mental, brain, thought, and emotion karma are different. So my problems are emotional and not mental. Your problems are due to maladjustment. From life to life or just this life, they are the same. Did she witness the accident? No. Did she see the body after? No. Was there any sense of blame or resentment directed towards her by the parents of that time? No. Was there any mental or emotional abuse that took place in that lifetime? Maybe some, but it was not significant. What steps can she take to resolve the maladjustment? Aware of the root of the problem. So, the root of the problem, they already told her that, right? The root of the problem is, where is it? Looking for love. That's the root of the problem. The root of the problem isn't the story of what happened in the 1880s. That story's done. The past is done. The past is done. Tomorrow never comes. It's now. So she needs to figure out how she can find her own self-worth within herself. Yeah? It's not trying to resolve what happened in the 1880s. It's healing the looking for love now. Well, in 1996, but now. Not then when you were somebody else, but now when you're in this life. All right? Is there any other part of this event that would help her? No. So all the problems that I had as a child was the result of this. Some seek an environment of punishment and to attempt to resolve leftover issues. Did she have feelings of guilt that her twin had unalived and she was still alive? Yes, but this was not imposed by others. Okay, she felt guilt and sought an environment that would punish her close enough for I can't say that word on YouTube. Where was the farm located in when this incident occurred? Near Canopolis, North Carolina? Can you give us the family name? O'Brien. Let me ask this. All of the experience that I had as a child were caused by this emotion where I was trying to punish myself. I spent my lifetime trying to punish myself. Is that right? Close. But remember, the point is you sought out an environment that you perceive to be restrictive and unforgiving, especially with your father. So your soul sought out that environment. So it's not healing the story again. The story doesn't matter. Beta, that's the EDO, doesn't matter. That's happened. What matters is dealing with how you're feeling, the emotional, and healing it as Alice, as she is Alice, not as she is Lawrence, but as she is Alice. Was there other karma with her father in this lifetime? Maybe, but you are the one, Laura, who can best examine these issues. What about between my mother and myself? Ditto. Well, if you guys could just tell me, it would leave me more time to transcribe tapes, listening. Laura, oh, V, whoops, she's growling, laughter. Laura, okay, any particular reason behind the financial difficulties I had today? Not really. That will soon be forgotten. Laura, now time to stop messing around. You said that prime numbers are the dwelling places of mystics. I had been poring over this material and it occurs to me that this was put in quotes for a reason. Yes, we put in quotes what we want further examined. I was thinking that this could be a clue on several levels. Could it be a clue to identify people and interactions? Maybe. And also as means of decoding coded written material? Sometimes. Would this written material be some that is channeled or more formal and general writings of mystics? Could it be, in other words, that they might write in a casual way and not be aware that they are channeling or writing code? Maybe. I dug about the Templars and have more or less come to the conclusion that they were just a smokescreen and that something else was going on at that time that was important. I also think that they have been resurrected from time to time and dusted off and blamed for all the secret knowledge that is supposedly lost. Am I onto something? Close. Who brought about the end of the Knights Templar? Rosicrucians move as a thief in the night. Rosicrucians also allegedly built the Georgia Guidestones, which I've been to multiple times when they were still up. But as I understand it, the Rosicrucians did not come into being until after the end of the Templars. No. Do you mean that information that came out, that pamphlet about Christian Rosenkreuz, that it was a purported fable, might be correct? Yes, and that's the guy, he kind of gave a pen name like that for the Georgia Guidestones. Well, goodness sake, the Rosicrucians advertise in magazines. Is this world organization that promotes itself so blatantly? Well, the worldwide order is not all-inclusive. Is there an inner circle of this order that is unknown? Yes. Are the Rosicrucians connected to the Masons in a roundabout way? Are the Illumishmati connected to the Rosicrucians in any way? Same. Of the three I have named, which would be considered the one that is closest to the inner circle? Not the correct concept. Do the Rosicrucians have writings in their keeping that they themselves do not understand? Yes, so do the Masons. Would you say that the writings of Albert Pike might be interesting to decode? Yes. Is there any particular number sequence that could be useful? 353535. Is this also a genetic code? Much is missing between point A and point B. You mean by jumping from documents to DNA? Yes. Laura, the Priory of Zion, that has been purported to be the progenitor or inheritor of the Templar tradition. Is that a mystical organization or great secrecy and import? Mystical organization of great secrecy and import. It is a cover for another smokescreen. Yes. Getting back to the 35353535 code, can you tell me more that will help me get to better turn it over to ARC? So I should leave it alone for now. Good idea. Laura, I will. I wanted to get to this other subject anyway. We know that you have said that this time is an illusion in third density reality. That's the whole Prakriti and Purusha. Maya, illusion, that's the Sanskrit. Well, none of this matters anyway. It's just for fun. Like literally none of it matters anyway. What matters is you working on you. That is a third density illusion, and it is involved with our DNA, which determines how we perceive it. So it's an illusion, yet somehow the illusion converts at some point into solid reality through some mode or operation. I would like to know at what point it converts and how. You are off base. Who said it converts? Laura, you got to read the Yoga Sutras, girl. Like, you keep resisting this. It's maddening. You claim to be this great academic, but you've never read the Yoga Sutras. And I think I know why. I think if you read the Yoga Sutras, you're going to know you're going to have to exercise. The body is an illusion, but it's so important, because we work through the body in order to refine our soul. It's the Shakti. It's not real, but it's still important because it's the Shakti. So finding equilibrium, finding enlightenment, if you will, is living your life and being fully invested in your life and experiencing the ups and downs and the mundane. You know, spirituality isn't sitting in an ashram going through mala beads. Spirituality is sitting in the carpool line picking up your kids from school. Spirituality is doing the things that you have to do as a third density being and going through the emotions of growing pains and aging and breakups and the joys, the highs, the lows, because it's all polarity and it's all on a time limit. It's like a roller coaster ride. It's a simulation of adrenaline. And so to be enlightened is to be able to be fully invested in your experience as the person you are now, but also know that it's not real. And that's something a lot of us can't do. That's something that's why another reason why exercise is the foundation of spirituality, because it forces you to come into conflict with yourself, to come into conflict with your own nature, to struggle, to sweat. And so you start to challenge the perceptions of the mind. Not to mention, it opens up the values of the energetic body, which are connected to the soul. So this is what makes me really nervous about these channelings, is so many people I meet in the spiritual world don't even know what Prakriti and Purusha is, and that is literally the foundation of everything, and that's why exercise is the foundation. All of this stuff, and that's what they're saying, you are way off base. Yes, third density is an illusion. All densities are, really. They're all an illusion. We decided to set up a game of hide and go seek as souls, and here we are. We're playing costume with each other in order to refine our souls. It's an illusion that has purpose, but it's still just an illusion. And if you don't know that, then you have no business channeling, right? Because if you don't know that, you're going to be so attached to your ego that the Lizzies are going to step in and totally manipulate you. So she's trying to figure out, Laura can't understand that this, even though it feels real, really isn't. It's Shakti. I don't know how that works, but I'm in a practice for 19 years. I've been examining it within myself. And at first, it's really hard when you first realize that who I am as Bryce isn't permanent and it's just a temporary ride at the amusement park. You go through what's called an ego death. Spirituality is not light and love at all. In fact, taking the light and love path is to disassociate. It's getting into the weeds. It's getting into the restrictions where it's messy. And I tell my students this all the time in real life, like, the messy stuff, that's where it's interesting. Where you struggle, which is the real reason why you came here, that's where it's interesting. Where we start to unpack and pull up, like this, her mom, Alice, has this like longing for love. So if she were my student, trying to unpack that longing for love, and it has nothing to do with the story of her past life. How is Alice going to find that longing for love and to unpack that? And why doesn't she feel worthy of being, how is she not able to find that love for herself within herself? Right? The service to self, they leapfrog over the anahata, the heart. So another reason why weights with arms are super important, because the arms are the extension of anahata, the heart center. But in service to others, we go from the heart. So we go into that. We sink into the lower chakras, which is our humanity, the hell of the body. That's the story of resurrection, of diving deep into the body, deep into that lower pelvic floor. We've got Muladhara all the way up to Manipura, these real deep chakras that are chakras that, when they're off balance, can cause fear of abandonment, fear of or jealousy, not feeling like you're good enough, not having the will to live, lacking creativity. When we, instead of ignoring that, and we try to stay up, when we actually dive deep down into that muckety stuff, that hell, and explore that. Why do I feel this way? Doesn't matter about the past. It could be coming over from a past life karma, but you're not in that past life now. You're right here in 2025. So how do we heal that part of your soul? Because your soul knows this is all an illusion. We don't heal the person in the roller coaster ride by tightening up the screw of the roller coaster, putting DW40 on the roller coaster because it squeaks. We heal the person in the ride by working on that person. These lives, that's just your roller coaster ride. But that simulation, that feeling of adrenaline that came from that you walk off the roller coaster ride, you're still feeling that sensation. That's where you work. That's it. Not what's on the ride. That sensation that's within you. Even in the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Didymus, when the lost books of the Bible, they ask Yahshua, Jesus, where is heaven? Where is heaven? And he says, I'm paraphrasing, if heaven were in the water, the fish would get there first. If heaven was in the air, the birds would get there first. No, heaven is inside. It doesn't matter. All this is a simulation for you to be in, to be totally enmeshed in, to sit in the carpool lane, to get on the treadmill, to have conflict with family members, to feel love and loss and suffer and joy, to experience the aging process. Even though that's all an illusion, it's necessary for you to feel that, so you have that simulation. Laura's not understanding this. And it took me a long time to somewhat understand it myself. Many years in India, many years with many teachers in contemplation. Okay, well, we perceive a damn solid reality. There is stuff that if you kick it, it hurts. The perception is part of the illusion. Absolutely, she's not understanding this. Yes, it's going to hurt because that's how we've set the game up. That's how we've set the game up. You know, you go to the movies, and the other day I watched a Korean movie with subtitles, The Last Princess, about the last princess of Korea. Cried my eyes out at the end. Now, even though it's based on a true story, I know it's actors, it's actors playing these roles, but the emotion was still there. The emotion of feeling that was there. That's what matters. But I know that these are actors. I know it's an illusion, but yet I still feel the humanity of it. But that is obviously not the total illusion. What else is part of the illusion? Is our perception. If our perception is part, then there must also be something there to perceive it, correct? Yes, the watcher, Purusha. Purusha is the watcher, the seer, that watches Prakriti. So the 3 stars of the Yoga Sutras are Ishvara, Purusha, and Prakriti. Ishvara is God. Okay? Prakriti is nature. Anything that has a birth, a life, and a death. This body, this room I'm in, this planet, this house, everything we perceive to be nature is Prakriti. Purusha is the soul perceiving the Prakriti. This Purusha knows it's Prakriti. It's the mind, the ego, the false sense of self that gets in the way of that. And it's even harder for us in third because we have a veil. So I think I'm Bryce. I think that's who I am. I'm Bryce. That's who I am. I'm a 42-year-old woman in Atlanta, Georgia. This is who I am. These are my parents. These are my siblings. This is my nephews and my nieces. But Bryce is just a roller coaster ride, specifically created for me, for my experience. You, whoever you are watching right now, that's your roller coaster ride. All it's meant to do is give your soul that refinement. Yeah? So a match, I use this metaphor a lot. Matches. We all know what a match is. You take a match out of the box. That one singular match has everything it needs to light itself. But it can't light itself unless it's struck against a matchbook. That's what we're doing on Earth. We're striking ourselves against that matchbook. When we strike that matchbook, light comes. When we go through the perils of this illusionary world, our light shines through. And the more we can crack open to feel that light, the more we heal our karma. So Laura's not getting this. That's why it's dangerous to get into this stuff without understanding the base principle of spirituality. And Todd's going to get more into that over on the Confused Wanderer in due time, because there's some problems here. Because she leapfrogged over the elementary school process of this. Yeah, it's all ego for her. It's all ego, okay? And that's illusion. Ego is the false sense of self. Okay, what is that we are perceiving? That which you are programmed to perceive. It is not perception. These are things we perceive as outside of ourselves. Are they not substance of some sort? Are they not there in some form, even if we perceive them the way we do? Of course, but what does this have to do with time? I am getting to that. We perceive a world out there. Trees, cars, trucks, houses, bricks, boards, blocks, people, dogs, etc., etc., etc. You left out backyard barbecues, laughter, very funny. We perceive things out there of what they are composed. Matter, of what matter is composed, atomic structure, of what thoughts, whose thoughts, yours, everything, everything. Yes! Shiva Shakti, Shiva Shakti, Shiva Purusha, Shakti Prakriti. We create this simulation by our soul. Our soul, this is also in the Emerald Tablets. It's not just the Yoga Sutras that talk about this. Multiple cultures talk about this. Laura, girl, you claim to be an academic, but there's a lot of missing information here, which we actually kind of call bullshit on that, which my boyfriend will get more into on his channel. Okay. I perceive some things, and everything I perceive is composed of my thoughts, and V is perceiving, yes, her thoughts. Yes, it's your karma. Yes. What is the difference between her thoughts and my thoughts? That is what binds you. You see it as merely a program. Yes, karma. Your karma is different. Your karma is different. No one's karma is better or worse than anybody else's. It's just your lesson plan. That's all your karma is for this life, is your lesson plan. Is it merely a program that we think we are separate individuals? Not the point. Not the point. What is the point? What binds us together? Where does the program come from? Where do your programs come from? Seventh density, ourself, the Lizzies. We are asking about the programs in your computer. In my computer, different place. I get them and load them. Are programs made? Do they exist in the thought centers? Do we just load them ourselves? Why have you forgotten 309,000? Oh, you're talking about the takeover by the fourth density service itself, but still the point I'm trying to get to is, yes, we have DNA, but you can't reprogram DNA if there's not DNA there to begin with. If there is not something to load the program into, what is the substance of this reality that we exist in? You just answered it. I don't understand. You can't load it into something that there isn't something there to begin with. Fine. What is that something that... Your previous DNA structure. Laura, why aren't you getting this? Thought creates, they gave you the answer. They already, and trying to blame the Lizzies on this? You're definitely going to have to do third density again if you keep blaming somebody else for being here. And you can change your DNA, actually, Laura, if you read the Yoga Sutras, which actually science is now catching up. The DNA structures can be changed through exercise. Science is now backing this. Remarkable. It's a miracle. We've just figured this out in science when literally India has been saying this for thousands of years. You just got to freaking sweat and your DNA will start to change. Where did that program come from? Review. Well, you once said it was necessary to be on a planet that had a star that was getting ready to go supernova in order to be molecularized by physical bodies. What I want to know is, what is the process whereby thought becomes manifested as matter? This is too complicated for this medium. You need another medium, something that allows for greater word uses. But just a clue, how does the thought become matter bilaterally? Opposing forces, Laura. It's in the Yoga Sutras, girl. You don't need to ask the Cassiopaeans this. You just need to read the Yoga Sutras. You can find one in any bookstore. The Yoga Sutras are one of those common spiritual books bought. It's like the Bible. You can find it anywhere. I guarantee you. You go to Barnes & Noble, they're going to have a copy. Go on Amazon, they got plenty of copies. Dual emergence. Emergence into what and what. Not into what and what, but rather from what and to what. What emerges from what? The beginning emerges from the end and vice versa. And what is the beginning and what is the end? Union with one. What is the one? Seventh density. All that is and is not. Now we have managed to dance around the whole thing, and I still don't know how matter comes to be or how time... Read the Yoga Sutras. Read the Mahabharata. Read the Bhagavad Gita. It's all there. It's all there. Why won't you read this book? She rarely talks about yoga. She only talks about tantric yoga, which really no one practices tantric yoga. It's all Patanjali system. So, and when she talks about tantric yoga, she gets it wrong. I don't know why her resistance, what her resistance is to actually cracking open. She claims to be this well, we know that's a lie, Laura. You have not read 10,000 books. That is impossible. So, and you claim to have a photographic memory, but the C's call you out on that a lot because you'll ask a question that you've already asked and they are like, you've already asked this because you're telling people you have a photographic memory when you don't. All right, you guys, so sorry about that. My boyfriend got home and so I had to stop for a second to say hello to him. This will be a good time to take a word from one of our sponsors, which is me, with Fusion Body Studio. If you like what you're hearing here and you want to take an opportunity to start practicing and working on yourself and be with a really strong community of people who are all working on themselves too, then Fusion Body Online Studio might be a good place for you. Let's play a quick ad and then we'll get back to the show. All right, you guys, of course, our sponsor for this episode today is Fusion Body Studio. So you are being sponsored today. This episode is being sponsored today by myself. As many of you guys know, outside of YouTube, I am a KPJAY authorized teacher. I have spent many years in India studying traditional yoga and how the mind, the body, and the spirit all work together in this human existence. And so I've taken everything that I have spent my adult life learning and I have put it all together. I've fused it all together into an online platform with my friend Paula over in Australia. So Fusion Body Studios is really just your online fitness boutique. It's a way for you to get in shape while also learning the value of exercise beyond just the physical. So we talk not only about what's happening with working out and refining the muscles, but also what different muscles, what different areas of the body are going to trigger different mental stimulants, as well as cleaning out trauma and reinvesting yourself into your life and dealing with the things in your life that are holding you back. So this is our library of exercise videos. And again, you're doing this in the privacy in your own home. So you don't have anybody watching you. It's just you. We've got the bar fusion classes, which are my favorite, that combined bar, which is from ballet. It combines bar, martial arts, Pilates, yoga, dance, all sorts of stuff. So we have that up. We also have strength training classes, which involve a lot of weights. And we have Ashtanga yoga classes for beginners, which is the traditional form of yoga, but it's just for beginners, because if you are interested in traditional yoga, I would highly suggest finding an in-person teacher, which I can help you with that if that is something that you like. We have axis strength training classes, which the axis is your spine. So that is what we're working with in these particular classes. Cardio dance classes, which are some of my favorite. A lot of these cardio dance classes can be done with your kids as well. Vinyasa flow classes, flush and restore classes, live classes that you get one live class with me every month and they get uploaded to our platform. Classes with Cindy, she's got more classes coming too. Walking workouts, somatic healing exercises, which somatic, soma means body, so body healing exercises, as well as post-workout meditations for some of our students who prefer to go on runs or long walks or cycling. After they're done with their workout, they can come and do a post-workout meditation because of the integration part of your exercise experience. And that's one thing that we strive to do here on Fusion Body Studio, is that my whole shtick, my whole thing is that a teacher's job, my job as a teacher, is to eventually teach myself out of a job. My passion in Fusion Body Studio is to give everybody the information they need to live a healthy and productive life, not just physically, but mentally and spiritually as well. So we teach our students in this studio how to approach working out from the best way possible. The initiation of workout, which is the warm up, through the workout to the very important integration of workout, which a lot of people skip. The integration part at the end, which is the cool down and the letting the body to restabilize itself. But that's vitally important for your nervous system, for your cortisol levels, and also for your mental stress in order to have that integration. So again, that's why we have the post-meditation, post-workout meditations available for you. That's why it's important for us to have these available for you, so that if you do choose to go for a run or something, you have something to help you integrate that run after you're done. We also have a section called of workshops. We have all these different in-depth workshops. We have an in-depth Ashtanga yoga course, healing for ascension for body, healing for ascension for mind, healing for ascension for spirit, health, healing, and beyond, which looks at the teachings of the late great Krishnamacharya, Heart of Yoga, which looks at the teachings of the late great Desikachar. We also talk a lot about the Bhagavad Gita, which is probably one of the most inspirational books that I've ever read, that really helped me to understand misconceptions in the spiritual world and what it really means to be a human. Polishing the Mirror, which goes over a lot of the teachings of the late Ram Dass. and the alchemy of movement, which is my specific course that I've created, which I teach you all about anaerobic work, aerobic work, what is good for what's happening physically in the body with different forms of exercise, what's happening with the mind in different forms of exercise, what's happening with your nervous system, your cortisol levels. And my whole point in this is that not all exercises were created equal. Every exercise has its value, but you need to understand what that exercise, the purpose of that exercise is in your physical body for you to make the best decisions for your overall health. Again, your overall health, physical health, mental health, emotional health, spiritual health. And we just added last week, guys, we just added this Vedic chanting course. This is going to be a growing course. We're going to grow this course. This is with Todd Roderick, and we have definitely a lot of requests for this. So we're starting with some pretty basic chants: the Ashtanga opening chant, the Ashtanga closing chant, Sahana Vavatu, one of my favorite chants, the Surya Namaskar mantra, and we're going to keep growing with this with more in-depth Vedic chanting. And so that is up for you. Again, it's an ongoing library of chants for you to start to understand the power of Vedic chanting. That is in the workshops. Now, with this studio, we have 3 different tiers. So tier 1 is free. Everybody has access to tier 1. It's where you get a lot of the astrological overviews from myself and Tamara monthly. There's a couple of videos, exercise videos up on the free tier. Anytime we release any shadow work challenges, we just released a 10-day shadow work challenge, which is totally free. That's on tier 1. Tier 2 is the exercise membership that I just showed you. That's just the exercises, the 2 to 4 new workouts. You get a month plus 1 live workout with me a month, and that library just keeps growing and growing and growing, meaning that when we add new workouts, we don't ever take any away. So the library is just going to grow. And in fact, you guys, Wednesday of this week, this is the week of the 25th of August 2025, Wednesday of this week, we are actually going to be filming an express strength training video with Todd Roderick. So we are slowly adding even more teachers. My goal is to only have master teachers on this platform to give you a well-rounded experience and give you as much knowledge as you can take for your own well-being. So that exercise tier 2 is $25 a month, and literally I have never seen anything of value that cheap. And Paula and my goal is to keep it as cheap as possible because we're on the internet, we have unlimited seating. And so that's why we're able to offset the price as low as possible, so as many people can join who want to join, who really want to seek benefit from this experience. So that's $25 a month for unlimited exercise. If you want to experience the full studio, so tier 1, which is the free stuff, tier 2, which is the exercise library, and tier 3, which is the workshops, so you get access to all the workshops on top of that, then that is an extra $15 a month, which is $40 a month, which is still, I mean, what is it? Soul Cycle, I think one of their drop-ins for a 45-minute class, for one class, is $40. So that's still super cheap to get all the analytical stuff with the exercise stuff. But we did divide them up because we know some people aren't interested in the workshop. Some people just want the experience of working out. And so that's why we divided into 2 different payment tiers, so that people who don't want to participate in the workshops, they don't have to pay as much. They can just pay $25 a month. And then of course, if you want to change your membership at any time, bump up to 40 or bump down to 25, that's also fine as well. We also have created a weight loss playlist because we know that weight loss is something that people are really, really interested in, obviously. And what Paula and I want to make sure our audience members, our students at the studio, we want to make sure that you guys are losing weight in the healthiest way possible. Neither Paula nor I believe in crash diets. We believe that weight loss should be slow and steady, and that you as the participant in your own weight loss should understand what's happening in your body. So we have created a full weight loss playlist with different exercises that actually trigger weight loss. Within that playlist, we also have an Ayurvedic food manual where we go through the different doshas, so the food system, to help people have a different understanding of what food is and what it means to nurture your body in a more natural sense. And honestly, you guys, in my experience in India, especially with Ayurvedic medicine and the dosha system, is that I find a lot of times when people just learn about the doshas and look at food through the lens of disposition and energy, the weight falls off naturally because they start eating foods that are good for them. And when your body is being fulfilled with its nutrients that it needs, all of a sudden your perspective of food changes and the weight will a lot of times just melt right off. So we want to be able to help you. This coming September 2025, we are also going to be hosting a live pop-up call separate from the calls that we typically do, where we can talk more about weight loss and answer people on the studio, answer your questions, and really try to help you and guide you in the best way to lose weight. So with that being said, guys, for the exercise alone is $25 a month. For the whole thing, it's $40 a month. But also, if you enter discount code BRICE20, BRICE 20, all caps, BRICE 20 at checkout, if you decide to be a part of our studio, then you get an additional 20% off your first 6 months of tuition with us at Fusion Body Studio. I know that our prices are so cheap that some people use Fusion Body Studio as like a secondary exercise platform. Like a lot of our students are also members of gyms or yoga studios, and they have Fusion Body Studio because it's so cheap. Why not, right? They have it at home for days that they can't get to the gym, or they can't get to their yoga studio, or days where they don't want to leave their house. They just want to have the day to themselves. They can just pop on and exercise at Fusion Body Studio and be done with it. Also for travel, people who travel a lot, you don't have to worry about finding a gym or finding a yoga studio, because you have a gym right on your cell phone that you can do anywhere in the world. And so we love those guys. We love all of our students. We have such a great student body. We're really so happy with all the people. We've had such amazing students on the studio so far. We'd love to have you join us. So again, if you use BRICE20 at checkout, you get 20% off your first 6 months at Fusion Body Studio. On top of that, anytime you register with us at Fusion Body Studio, you get 7 days for free. So before your credit card is charged, before your debit card is charged, you get seven full days, a full week for free. So you can spend those 7 days experimenting with the studio, seeing how you like it. And after the 7 days are up, if you decide that Fusion Body Studio is not for you, you can just cancel your membership, no problem, and your card will not be charged. So it's really a win-win situation. Again, we would love to have you. Every month we have special guests. Sometimes I do the live calls, but sometimes we have special guests come on and do the live calls. We've had Cindy Ola come on and do a live call with somatic healing. In the month of August, we had my friend Tamara came on this past Saturday and did a live call with our students. This September, we're looking at another guest caller. We know Todd's going to be doing some calls. So you get so much bang for your buck. And so we really hope to see you over on Fusion Body Studio. All of those links, along with your discount code, are down in the description box below. Okay. So let's go back. They said, what is the one? What is the beginning and what is the end? You knew with the one. What is the one? Seventh density. All that is and is not. Now we have managed to dance around the whole thing, and I still don't know how matter comes to be or how time. No. How do I get where I want to go? You have the basics. Can you give me a couple more basics? There are no more. I once asked if time was gravity. Is a fence the ground? Is gravity God? No. Is gravity seventh density? No. Where does gravity emanate from? Thought center. Yes, because it's all Prakriti. It's all created by us. You have mentioned thought centers on many occasions. Is there more than one? All are one and all. If you have a thought center, do you have thought centers related to seventh density? The one, exactly. Are thought centers seventh density? All is. All is thought centers? No, all is seventh density. I think you know where I'm trying to go with this, and I wish you would help me out a little. We are. Okay, so time is an illusion. Wonderful. You have compared time to a fence. No, we compared our illusions, your illusions, to ours. Let's work with this illusion. Let us say the ground is seventh density. How do we picture time in relation to the ground as the soil? Related to the soil, how do we relate to vague? How do created beings get painted into this picture? Time is your illusion. In my opinion, a lot of this conversation she's having right now is a complete waste of time. It's a complete waste of time if you actually read the Yoga Sutras. I think Laura's ego is too big for that, though. Honestly, I do. Because I think if she went and sat down and read the Yoga Sutras, she would have to be a beginner. And I don't think Laura likes being a beginner. If you want to call it time, but would not be the same, if you want to call it time, but it would not be the same, would it? Okay. I'm stumped. I can't go any further now. On another subject, Arca, that phosphorus is DNA structures. In DNA structures, can you comment? How about if you comment on the relationship of phosphorus to you? I don't know. Is there some relationship between phosphorus and carbon? Well, that's not where we're leading. Well, phosphorus is an essential element for the brain. Okay. It's about all I know about. I don't know enough about phosphorus. I hope I'm saying that right. So then why not save this until later? Laura, next question. If there were a sufficient number of people who were working on learning how to create an alternative reality or universe, would it seem to them that there was no real shift between the former one and the new one except an internal shift of thought? That is one possibility. If we decide that we wanted a different world, could we, or even a small group, create that kind of world and have it seem that we hadn't? We have told you thus. This whole world was created by us, Laura. This whole world was created by us. Not the Lizzies. Not the Illuminati. Us. Collectively. For friction. That's Prakriti. The Shiva and the Shakti. Laura, is it possible that there are persons on this planet here for some purpose, and that person's purpose is, say, the negativity on that planet increases to such an extent that maybe people will become so sick of it that they are ready to exercise their free will and make a change, and they will then be open to learn from those who come along with this intel. Okay. I'm going to say something now. And this is just my opinion. Just my opinion. Laura is service to self. Doesn't mean that this information isn't valuable. But I have other information now about her. She, in my opinion, is service to self. Knowingly service to self. And I think this question is very much a red flag. Is it possible that there are persons on the planet here for some purpose, and that purpose is to, say, the negativity on the planet increases to such an extent that many people will become so sick of it that they are ready to exercise their free will and make a change, and they will then be open to learn from those who can come with this intent to help and teach? What is she saying here? They just say, okay. This is a pecking order. We're above the suffering. All these little earthlings, they just need to suffer, and then we'll step in and be their saviors, right? Right? That's what we're doing with the Cassiopaean. We're going to be their saviors. See what I'm saying? I've heard it said that she says she doesn't exercise because her service to humanity is the Cassiopaeans. That is bullshit. That is bullshit. We have many services to humanity, but first and foremost, we have to work on ourselves. And the fact that she won't should be a huge red flag. Anyway, again, just because I believe she services self does not mean that the stuff here isn't valuable. We're going to continue to go through it. I just wanted to say that because I don't want you guys, I want you guys, of course, you have free will to do what you want. I'm never going to interrupt somebody's karma. You do what you want. But please have discernment with Laura. Please have discernment with her. Please. Again, my boyfriend's going to get into it more on his channel eventually. He's her cousin. So please subscribe to him. But please have discernment. Question, Laura. Well, when this wave hits, is it going to increase the potential for a creation of a new reality or realms? Better review. I'm trying to get somewhere in particular, and I'm trying to build the question step by step. Ask Ark. What do you want me to ask Ark? Some of these questions, see what he thinks. Tell me why he is going to know these answers. It's more fun to ponder the answers rather than the whys and wherefores. You guys are making me a little crazy tonight. Do you want to invite Ark to the discussion? Laura, of course. What is the function of DNA other than coding protein production? Conductor of electricity. No shit. If you actually read the Yoga Sutras. No shit. Is that the only other function? Well, as you know, electrical energy can have nearly endless applications. Examples: radio waves, neurotransceivers or thought pattern programs facilitated through electromagnetic wave transmission, etc. Method used for creation and maintenance of program illusions, such as the perception of linear time as reality. Is that it? Send that. Should I follow the Newtonian electrodynamic thread? It is up to you to follow that which you are guided to follow. This is elementary. If we were in your shoes, we would solve it. Should I study the cold fusion problem? Not in area of search. Any further comment about cold fusion? No. What is cold fusion? Theoretical. Some recently claimed breakthroughs of dubious validity, though. Which part of human extends into fourth density? That which is affected by pituitary gland. And what is that? Psychic. Are there some particular DNA sequences that facilitate transmission between densities? Addition of strands. How do we get added strands? You don't, you receive. We have 12 strands of DNA. Only 2 are active. The electromagnetic force of the soul of the energetic body is what primarily functions through the body. Even in your blood veins, you have blood, oxygen, and another elixir. The seas have talked about it. The yogis have talked about it. That is coming from the creation of the blood and the oxygen, which is prakriti. That's the creation through the soul. Interaction with upcoming wave if vibration is aligned. How do you know if this is happening? Let's see here. Sometimes I think some of this stuff is just really no point. I'm going to put all this down below, you guys. You can read it for yourself. Okay. All right. Are you speaking of an upcoming wave? It is a wave of what? Think of it as a wave of reflection from the beginning to the end point. Can you clarify that in more third density terms? No. See what the response is. It is in his question after all. Is DNA acting as a superconductor? Yes. Any other comments? No. Question regarding the wave. But what vibrates? Energy, ether? Energy and ether are directly symbiotic. And when it vibrates, then in which dimension? The density 3rd and 4 at transition junction. If not in linear time, then in what? Cyclical time. What measures the distance between one crest and another? End, beginning of cycle. Trying to understand the universe in terms of triality, matter, geometry, information. Is that the right idea? If one thinks of matter as living rather than dead, is that it? Art questioned. Well, excuse me for trying to help here. Is DNA superconducting variably? What is electricity and what sets? What is elementary charge? Elementary means basic construct, whether directly from natural state or indirectly. What type of entity? Purely substantive as in a binder. A warp? Warp is incomplete concept. Remember what we said about the theory of relativity. Must I understand the nature of superconductivity? It seems to me that I must. Yes and yes, definitely. Is it correct? In my reach? Yes, we already answered. That means Nobel Prize, definitely yes. We hate to say this, but wait and see. Good night, end of session. All right, you guys, I want to clarify too that 6th density will speak to both service to others and service to self because they are both. So that is just my opinion though. Just be very careful with any type of channeling information. The channeler does to some extent matter because they're the one holding the information. I'm very curious myself as to why they never, I know they do channeling sessions on Zoom and they transcribe it onto the transcripts that we're reading, but I would be curious to actually see and why they don't ever show them actually channeling. I have some questions about that. So nonetheless, you guys, let me know what you think, and we'll continue looking through the C's and the Rosicrucians, and just have discernment, you guys. Just have some discernment, and please, again, subscribe to Todd because he's going to go deeper into this, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.